Your Jazz recap here on DJ and PK 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jazz lost to the Bulls last night, 128-126. What a night, though, from Bryce Sensabaugh, career high 43 points on 15 of 22 shooting, 5 of 10 from 3. He had 28 of his 43 in the first half. Big night from Bryce Sensabaugh, even though the Jazz came up just short in Chicago. Let's get to the postgame sound and Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
Tonight is an example and a reminder for us that the same things are going to be important to us no matter who plays. I thought defensively, the third quarter, we did a really good job because they scored 6 points in the paint. And then in the fourth quarter, they had 22. And especially when our team is smaller, the urgency and physicality around the basket has to be there. And it has to be at an even higher level when we don't have some of our bigger players in the game. But I think the way that we battled on the road came down to the end. I said this last week. We're still learning how to win and how to squeeze out things at the end of the game. I thought we had a very good defensive possession, with 23 seconds left, and we weren't able to come up with the rebound. And that cost us, and I think our execution off the board on the last play, wasn't as sharp as it could have been. Again, that's a play we haven't run before in a game. And these situations are all really good for the growth of our group. So more than anything, I leave this game really encouraged with our young players and their fight, their competitiveness, how connected they are. I do believe we're playing a lot of good basketball.
Bryce has a career night, 43 points. I'm just curious how you've seen throughout his career his scoring ability kind of evolve from when he first came into the league.
Yeah, I think he's gotten more opportunity, first and foremost, and that's helped him settle into games and kind of show the wide variety of things that he can do. I felt like last year in particular, we did so much work with Bryce, and he did so much work on trying to really develop himself as a catch-and-shoot three-point, player, and speeding up his base, speeding up his release because he's an elite shooter. And Bryce has been a scorer his whole life. Last year we wanted to make a priority of, that facet of scoring, focusing on his catch and shoot, and I thought he did a really good job. But as we saw tonight and have seen a bunch of times before, there's a lot of other things that Bryce can do. He's a good scorer in isolation, good at using his body and creating space. I think the work he's done on his body, you're seeing a different level of explosiveness when he plays downhill towards the basket. But I think the opportunity that he's gotten has been something that's allowed him to settle in. When you're young, you're not playing a ton of minutes and you're shooting a lot of catch and shoots, the weight of every shot can get pretty heavy. And so I think the situation has changed a little bit for Bryce, and that's allowed him to reveal more of his game.
He's coming back into the starting lineup tonight. How do you feel like that maybe helped him get into rhythm? That's something I could also talk to him about too, but do you think that kind of helps spark something with a player like him?
Yeah, I think coming off the bench is unnatural for pretty much everybody in the NBA. They've never done that until they got to this level. Ace, his last couple of weeks has been pretty disjointed. And so I feel like him starting, maybe that gave him a boost of adrenaline, some excitement. That's something that he can talk about. But I do feel like getting him a little bit longer runs while we're trying to get his cardio back. But being able to play him heavier minutes tonight also allows him to settle into the game. There's not as much pressure on each possession. I thought he did a lot of good things. His weak side defense, his awareness when he is the low man has gotten so much better. His athleticism shows itself defensively a lot off the ball, his ability to close the gap, be in the paint, and then fly out to close out. So that's the part that we're most excited about, is Ace's ability to impact the game on both sides of the ball.
That's Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on to the players and hear from Keontae George.
Y'all seen the bench. Y'all seen everybody. We so happy for Bryce. I had this thing for Bryce in the summer. Basically 1-800-B. You call 1-800, they always answer. So, but nah, man, I'm happy for B. It's the same thing that happened last year when he went back home. Like, he can do this. You know, he has the ability to score, but he got so many things to his game. But, you know, one of these nights was, you know, he was just in that flow state, honestly. He was getting to his spots, like not worried about defenders in his face. And, you know, we have people down. And when he can go out and play like that and pick up the slack, I mean, it does nothing but, you know, obviously help the team, but, you know, helps him, you know, individually as well. Me and Bryce came in this thing together. You know, we have the same people around us. So, you know, it was just good to, you know, see B play well. Whenever he's playing with a smile on his face, you know, good things happen. So, like I said, happy for Bryce. Everybody's happy. But obviously, you know, wish we could have got the win for him so he could, you know, it would have been a great game to be a part of. But yeah, it was exciting to watch, man. It was, like I said, on the bench is a court-side seat, so just to get to see B do that all over again, I mean, you know, it was fun. I'm happy for B for sure.
There's Keontae George, 25 points, 7 assists last night in the Jazz 2-point loss to the Bulls. Let's now hear from Bryce Sensabaugh.
What did it feel like for your shots to just fall the way they were?
Man, I really don't have a lot of words for it. Like, it kind of just started off with a good look from the corner, a good pass from Keontae. And then, you know, all glory to God. Like, the shots were just going in tonight. So it was a lot of fun, you know, get back to hitting shots at a high clip. And I'm looking forward to continuing.
How do you feel like your shot making and the way you score has evolved since you've been in the league?
It's been good. Like, I think I showed it a good amount last year, just in terms of like getting my shot off quick and, you know, shooting at a high percentage. So just trying to get back to that this year. Start off a little slow. You know, I've had some good flashes, but I just got to trust in it. Like, you know, I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I can do. You know, shooting the ball, and, you know, it's the forefront of my game. So I just got to trust in it, and, you know, that's the kind of player I want to be. So
I believe you're the 4th Jazz man to come off the bench and have a 40-point-plus game in Jazz history. When you hear something like that, writing your name in the history books, what does that mean to you and all the work you've put in?
Yeah, it's a blessing. Like I said, I have no words for it, to be honest. Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful to be in the position that I am, and I never take it for granted. And to, you know, obviously to do something like I did today was special. So, you know, it means a lot to be in the record books and, you know, stamp my name. But, you know, it's important that I continue to carry it on. So I'm looking forward to playing tonight.
And then lastly, yeah, you guys have another game tomorrow. I know you didn't come out with the win, but how does playing back-to-backs kind of help just push you and keep you focused onto the next one?
Yeah, you know, my 2 best games last year were back-to-back. So, you know, just kind of carry that momentum onto tomorrow. And, you know, just kind of, you know, Dallas is a great team, great coach. But, you know, we have confidence in ourselves as well. So just looking to go and get that win tomorrow. So thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That is Bryce Sensabaugh, 43 points last night against Chicago, 15 of 22 shooting, 5 of 10 from 3, but the Jazz lose 128-126. Up next, the Jazz take on the Mavericks in Dallas tonight. Tip-off will be at 6:30. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:30.